All right, Finance Committee meeting called to order for Tuesday, December 1st. First, you want to do a roll call, Ms. Jenkins?
Miss Abrams, Mr. Duncan, Mr. Moore,
Here.
Mr. Toller.
Here. All right, first item on the thing is to discuss the accounts payable register for October 16th, 2020 to November 15th, 2020 in the amount of $15,239,199.64. Mr. Snodabot.
It's really just presented to y'all for information purposes only. It's 461 checks. And I'll answer any questions. There's no action needed by the Finance Committee.
Any questions on the check registry? It was entertaining reading. Hearing no questions. Item B, review the year-to-date actual budget comparison report for major funds for the month of October 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the year-to-date actual budget comparison report. There are some adjustments that we talked about really at the last meeting. Reduction in MFP funding, $760,000, an increase in sales tax proceeds of $3.75 million, an increase in salaries due to the mid-year salary adjustment that was approved, $1.5 million, an increase in employee benefits due to the mid-year salary supplement, $327,000. The net impact was that we went from a budgeted deficit of $484,000 to a budgeted deficit, correct, to a surplus of $310,000. Important to note, I've got the November 2020 sales tax figures coming in. It's not included in these figures, but sales tax for this month is 24.3% above this month last year. Year to date, we're about 3.8 million above last year at this time. So our sales tax is still strong.
Any questions for Mr. Snodabot? All right, hearing none. Item C, consider entering into an agreement with Commdata Virtual to facilitate virtual account payable processing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's actually with Commdata Inc., there's a typo there. But Commdata Inc. will enable the school board to process electronic payments to key vendors. Commdata has collaborated with MasterCard to make electronic payments at a savings that is shared with the school district. Currently, our school board will receive 175 basis points or a 1.75% rebate on all qualifying payments. It's estimated that the savings for our district could be between $5,000 and $8,000 per month, for a total of about $60,000 to $100,000 per year. The vendors aren't required to enroll; they can choose to enroll if they choose to. There's an advantage to the vendors. Payments are made electronically upon completion of our approval process. Today, right now, invoices are received, they're approved, they're inputted into our Munis system, checks are printed at the week's end, the checks are stamped, mailed, delivered to the vendor. The vendor records the payment, deposits a check into their bank. The vendor's bank then communicates with our bank and funds are transferred. This process takes about an 8 to 15 day process. By going through Commdata, we can reduce that to a 1 day type process. So it's an advantage to the vendor to get their payments in their bank faster. The invoice processing comes along with some additional detailed information that can help the vendor process that payment quickly by not having to re-key punch some. Some of our payments, like our energy payment and stuff, covers multiple accounts and requires significant key punching when received by the vendor. The advantages to the school board is that we reduce the number of our paper checks issued and mailed. We eliminate lost payments in the reissuing of lost payments. We reduce the number of outstanding checks and simplifies our reconciliation process. And we get an opportunity for a rebate of the 1.75% of the payments. So the vendor's willing to pay more or give us a rebate by getting the payment electronically and get it faster. If this plan were in place today, the check register I presented you earlier we would have received a rebate of about $17,000.
If all of them had signed up.
If all of them, well, keep in mind that these are the vendors that are currently enrolled in Commdata today that are giving their clients discounts on their electronic payments. So why would they not offer the same to us? Livingston Parish School Board is currently enrolled. It has been since May, and they've got $80,000 in rebates since May. But keep in mind, a lot of that is on their CARES Act funding. One of the biggest clients in this are the computer techs that are selling computer equipment. Had we had this place in May when we ordered our CARES, our one-to-one devices, we would have gotten significant rebates at that time too. But the administration is recommending that we move forward with this. We'll ask y'all to consider it for approval.
So question, the vendors are the ones that are paying for the service.
Correct.
We as a school system, we're not paying for the service.
Correct. And what we do is when we process our accounts payable, instead of issuing the checks, we create an electronic file that we send to Commdata, and Commdata will issue the electronic payment.
Any of the vendors have a history of going up on their prices because of justifying the cost of the billing?
That's a question I do not know, Mr. Keller. I don't know if Entergy goes up on their billing by the fact that they get their payment electronically. I do not think they can do that.
Other questions?
So, Mr. Schneiderbach, the contract seems to lock us in for 2 years, but then it doesn't have a penalty if we just decide to stop before the 2 years.
Well, we can stop at any time because it's only based on what we send them in the electronic transfer. So if we decide this is not working for us, we just don't send any more payments electronically to them to process.
Okay. So it's really just, there's not really any risk to us entering into the contract. It's almost,
Not that I can see.
Will we be saving any labor on our side as far as
Yes,
in our
well,
office?
Right now, we do have occasions where we have to reissue checks. We have to do a stop payment and re-input the data and reissue the check. And that happens quite frequently, a couple times, 3 or 4 times a month. So if these vendors are on the electronic payment process, we wouldn't have to do that. And then another thing is, if payments aren't cashed and they go unprocessed or outstanding for a period of time, then we have to remit that money over to the state. By doing it electronically, that eliminates that having to remit money to the state on these payments. So it doesn't save some labor, but it's small.
Any other questions?
I'll move to adopt the administration's recommendation.
We have a motion to adopt the recommendation. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Moore. Any questions, concerns? Any public input? Electronic voting, please.
Voting is open.
Cindy.
Yes, Mr. Moore. Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else to be brought before Finance Committee? Hearing no other items,